As our story begins, a motley crew of adventurers find themselves face to face with the dreaded S-rank forest dragon. The dragon's fiery breath scorches the air, leaving the adventurers scrambling for cover like startled rabbits. Meanwhile, Farmer Al, sporting his signature straw hat and a mischievous grin, loads up his trusty carriage with an array of vegetables. With a twinkle in his eye, he reaches farming level 10, much to his amazement and the bemusement of his faithful companion Testa, a loyal goat who bleats in approval. As Farmer Al sets off for the bustling market, his cart overflowing with ripe produce, fate takes a whimsical turn. Along the forest path, he hears the distant echoes of battle, the clash of swords, and the roar of the dragon reverberating through the trees. Curiosity piqued, Farmer Al steers his carriage toward the commotion, only to witness the chaotic scene of adventurers locked in mortal combat with the fearsome dragon. With a shrug and a chuckle, Farmer Al reaches for a lone carrot nestled amidst his harvest. With a flick of his wrist, he sends the carrot soaring through the air, aiming to distract the dragon with the most unexpected of weapons. The adventurers watch in disbelief as the carrot finds its mark, striking the dragon with improbable precision. To everyone's astonishment, the dragon staggers, its mighty form crumbling to the forest floor in a bewildering twist of fate. Farmer Al stands triumphant, his carrot of destiny held aloft like a conquering hero's sword. Maybe the vegans are onto something. As Al arrives in the city, he sees Princess Falwise being taken hostage by a villain, so Al decides to rescue her using his newly discovered power. After being rescued, Falwise is so thankful that she offers Al a job serving the royal family. Al wants to decline, but Falwise is so desperate to recruit him that he ends up reluctantly accepting. Suddenly Al and Falwise are informed that a monster army, the first since the death of Demon Lord Macbeth, is reported to be heading toward Magus. There's a possibility that this demon army, known as Hellzone, will invade Magus to exact revenge for their fallen king. Officer Cecil insists they destroy the army, but after drawing Falwise and her father, the king, away from Magus, he reveals himself as Romeo Vanded, Macbeth's demon general. He plans to kill Falwise and the king, then pose as the ruler of Magus. The abrupt intervention of Al comes about as a result of his concern that the army would destroy Magus, leaving him with no place to sell his veggies. Just one blow from Al is all that is required to overcome Romeo. The reward that Falwise presents to Al is a farmable field that is 33,000 square meters in size. In exchange, Al is required to register as an adventurer so that he can serve the kingdom whenever it is required. When Al sees the field, he discovers that it is a wasteland that is not fit for farming. Despite his agreement, he realizes that he was duped. In a funny turn of events, Falwise forces Al to go to the guild to sign up with Helen, the show's secretary. Falwise acts more like a naughty peasant than a princess in disguise because she wants to hide the fact that she is a princess. To be honest, she doesn't look like a princess anyway. After what seems like an endless amount of bureaucratic chatter, Al finally meets the ragtag group of heroes who made it through the S-rank forest dragon mess. They are very excited to see him and almost beg him to join them. Much to their surprise, Al, on the other hand, stays committed to farming. When Al finally decides to do his first quest, he finds out it's a G-level mission, which is the very lowest level. He finds out that the coveted SS rank is only given to the best people, the heroes of tales. He knows that he is light years away from reaching that rank. Helen gives Al her old, worn-out robe as part of his beginner's kit, which could be seen as a sign of pity or realism. It's a good way to describe Al's humble start in the wild world of adventure. Al is paralyzed with fright as a result of the appearance of a supernaturally uncommon black dragon in the forest. Fortunately, the dragon simply disregards him and continues on its way. There are recurring nightmares and memory gaps for Helen. Al informs the guild about the dragon, and after analyzing its statistics, he concludes that the dragon is Ouroboros the Malevolent. Helen suddenly recalls a long-forgotten memory of her brother Rai, who was the first person to wear Al's new robe. Rai was the victim of Ouroboros' murder, and he was the one who wore it. Helen's adoptive mother is taken aback by the fact that Helen gave Al her robe. She explains that when she discovered Helen as a child, all she had was the robe and was suffering from amnesia. Al receives a letter from his mother, which is delivered by a young postman named Reeks. After gaining access to the data from the day when Helen was discovered, Al and Foulwise discovered that Ouroboros had demolished Hunnell Hamlet, which may have been the spot where Helen was born. It is also revealed to them that Ouroboros was allegedly put to death by his adversary, the dragon known as Mirage the Benevolent. In the course of his search for Hunnell, Al comes into Rai in the form of a ghost. Foulwise is unable to see him, but Rai says that he has been waiting for someone who can see him for the past 15 years. That's a long time to be waiting for someone. In a quirky turn of events, Al finds himself tailing Rai, who reveals himself to be a ghost. Foulwise, ever the curious one, tags along despite being completely oblivious to Rai's spectral presence. Rai, thrilled to finally find someone who can hear him, spills his spectral heart out. As the trio meanders along, Al has an epiphany. Rai is none other than Helen's long-lost younger brother and the very spirit behind the magical robe draped over his shoulders. Talk about a family reunion from beyond the grave, but here's the kicker. While Rai's ghostly form is visible to both Al and Foulwise thanks to the mystical properties of the robe, he's convinced that Helen's in grave danger, courtesy of the ominous Ouroboros. With a sense of urgency, Rai implores Al to become Helen's guardian angel, or rather, her spectral sibling's guardian human. What a twist of roles! It is seen in a flashback to the time before Hunnell was destroyed that Ouroboros initially terrified his victims to feed on their souls that were filled with sadness. He then left Helen alive so that she could spread the story, inciting panic in other human settlements, so that when Ouroboros returned 15 years later, a new feast of human sorrow would be ready to be prepared. Because he wanted to keep an eye on Helen, Rai transformed himself into a ghost. Now he is warning Al that Ouroboros will seek both Helen and the city of Megas. Al is concerned that he does not possess sufficient strength, but Rai reassures him that if Ouroboros thrives on hopelessness, then he ought to be weakened by opposite feelings. Al and Foulwise make a hasty return to Megas to get ready for the return of Ouroboros. Helen confronts Ouroboros in the jungle to trade her life in exchange for Megas. Motivated by the resurfacing memories of Rai's death, Helen is determined to complete the transaction. Foulwise was spotted within the castle at the moment, and she was giving orders to the royal guards to speed up the process of evacuating the citizens as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Al locates Helen before she can attempt suicide, and he hits Ouroboros so hard that he damages him. On the other hand, he assured Helen that she should not be concerned because he had arrived to save her. At that time, the Ouroboros and Al were engaged in a fierce battle, and Al was actually on the losing end of the conflict. At that moment, Helen was concerned, and she did not want anyone else to pass away as a result of her actions after that. The message that he sends to Helen is from Rai, telling her that she is not to blame for his death and that she must forgive herself. A fatal poison to Ouroboros, whose statistics plummet to the point that Al's next punch knocks him unconscious. Helen's soul becomes filled with hope, which is a deadly poison. After Helen suddenly stabs him in the chest, Al is taken aback by the experience. Talk about betrayal! In a shocking twist, Helen plunges a knife into Al, leaving him dumbfounded and reeling in disbelief. A somber smile graces Helen's lips as she launches into a relentless assault, leaving Al struggling to fend off her blows while nursing his wounds. In a desperate bid for salvation, Al reaches for his precious recovery potion, only to watch in dismay as it slips from his grasp, shattering on the unforgiving ground. Left with no other choice, he channels his magic to mend his battered body, all the while pressing Helen for answers regarding her sudden transformation. Just when all seems lost, Mirage, the benevolent dragon, swoops in to save the day with impeccable timing. Revealing Helen's possession by the malevolent Ouroboros, Mirage bestows upon all the gift of purification, mending his wounds and offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. However, Mirage's heroic act takes its toll, and the majestic dragon collapses, spent from the exertion. Back at the castle, Falwise springs into action, ensuring the order is maintained as she directs the royal guards to seal the castle gates, securing the safety of all within its walls. Even though she was aware that their defenses were pointless in the face of Ouroboros' invasion, she decided to act because it was preferable to doing nothing. Despite Ouroboros' assurances that Al will not assault Helen, Al proceeds to strike her with a tremendous blow, therefore showing that Helen had communicated with Al through the use of her eyes. Ouroboros tries to take possession of Al, but he discovers that his mind is just filled with a strong desire to farm. Mirage is able to expel and purify Ouroboros because it does not experience any bad ideas that it can control. When Al comes to, he is in Magis, where Helen and Falwise have revealed that Mirage has also vanished. A revelation is made by Helen that she is now capable of transforming any portion of her body into dragon limbs at command. That's a funny and strong power at the same time. She wishes to use this ability to protect people and to live a happy life in memory of Rai. After a few days have passed, Reeks brings Al a letter from his father in which he is asked to visit them in Lurigus. Al is very pleased to go to Lurigus because the region is well known for its farming and good fertilizer. Helen takes over Al's active quests and grants him a vacation. She also reveals that she is now an F-rank adventurer by revealing that she has dragon limbs. Falwise expresses interest in accompanying him to meet his parents. However, Al swiftly departs on his own since he is concerned that bringing a girl to meet his parents could lead to misunderstandings. On his voyage, Al comes dangerously close to being sexually assaulted by a male orc who is possessed by lust, but a young woman manages to kill the orc just in time. The girl who went by the name Rory came to Al's rescue as he was being pursued by an orc. On the other hand, it appeared that even though Al is a sufficiently powerful MC, he is somewhat susceptible to being attacked by orcs. Following this, they became acquainted with one another. Rory, the young lady, makes the invitation to accompany Al to Lurigus. On the other hand, he came upon Reeks, who discovered them in some way together with another letter from Al's mother. During this time, Rory is experiencing a great deal of sadness because her own family does not care about her at all. Typical girl daddy issues, I guess. Rory sets a camp and reveals that her bag, despite its diminutive size, is capable of holding a multitude of enormous goods. This ability was passed down to her hero ancestor, who achieved victory over Demon Lord Macbeth. As soon as that was over, they ate dinner because our farmer's stomach was starting to growl. Rory responded to Al's question about why she wanted to travel to Lurigus by saying that she had heard that Lurigus is plagued by accidents and demon sightings, which prompted her to decide to check out the location and explore it. Al questioned Rory why she wanted to travel to Lurigus. After that, they stayed the night, intending to arrive in Lurigus the next day. She has high aspirations that she will one day surpass the hero's legacy. Reaching Lurigus, Rory is upset over their separation, but Al begs her to accompany him back to his house in a week if she is willing to do so. Al goes to see his parents, his overly adoring mother Lucica, who is a housewife, and his strength-bound father Gilles, who is a farmer. Lucica goes completely insane, claiming that Al is too young for females, marriage, and babies, and she humorously does this, punishing both Al and Gilles. Al only mentions Rory. Al's parents are the epitome of integrity and professionalism. Due to the fact that there have been no accidents or sightings of demons in Lurigus, Gilles is suspicious of Rory being involved. Al is enticed to the forest with Rory by a nefarious individual after he has purchased his fertilizer. He reveals that he has misled them with tremendous illusion magic, and that he has even drawn Rory to Lurigus in the first place with phony rumors of demons because he is aware that she is the descendant of the hero. When Rory was seen slashing the fish demon in half, she was seen doing so. The figure identifies himself as Loki, a demon who took an interest in Al after he triumphed over Romeo and Ouroboros. During this time, Rory was observed as she launched the initial assault. However, she was instantaneously vanquished, which required Al to make use of the recovery magic. As a result, Loki realized that he ought to have dealt with Al first. Al, on the other side, attempted to overpower Loki by attacking him. But he was unsuccessful because Loki possessed a regenerative power that enabled him to repair his wounds with relative ease. To eliminate everyone who might be able to stop the next Demon King, Loki eliminates Ruri because she has the potential to become the hero, Al because of his abilities, and Helen because she absorbed the power of Ouroboros. As Loki orders, leech monsters begin to consume Al. However, Al gives the leeches fertilizer, which is also a pesticide, and the leeches immediately perish. The fact that Ruri allowed her family to make her feel like she was useless is a source of guilt for her. Loki is eliminated as a result of her sudden belief in herself, which unleashes the power of the hero. Because of his tiredness, Al passes out, and Ruri realizes that she has fallen in love with him. After several hours, Al finally comes to, but a new threat has emerged. Al is running late for home, and Lucica is looking for him. Just in the nick of time, Al brings Ruri back to Lurigus out of concern for her life if they are discovered together. Al decides to go back to his farm. It is a source of concern for Lucica that Al continues to insist on farming, and it is speculated that Al only became a farmer because of a death that occurred in his past. Ruri is accompanying him to Magus, and both of them are concerned that demons may target them again. As a result, they decide to keep each other safe, even though Ruri is taken aback by their pledge. During their chat, Falwise and her father had a tense exchange. Al finds out that monster assaults have interrupted all trade between kingdoms, resulting in a large number of people that are now starving. Netulus, prince of the Antisberg kingdom, brandishing the sacred sword Levitain, is successful in driving the monsters away from the kingdom. Al is unexpectedly informed by Falwise that she will be leaving Magus permanently. Now that the monsters have been eliminated, business resumes as usual, but everyone finds out that Falwise has left to marry Netulus. When Al receives a letter from Lucica, who has disclosed that she was the former commander of the Shadow Puppets, he learns that Levitain is a fake. The letter reveals that the monsters are being controlled by a gentle demon named Gazel, whose human lover is being held hostage by Netulus. Al realized that Netulus fabricated the monster attacks to coerce Falwise into marrying him in exchange for safeguarding Magus. That's one way of marrying someone. Al, Helen, and Ruri have decided to engage Reeks to transport their packages to Antisberg in a secure manner using his peculiarly effective postman talents. Netulus plans to marry Falwise in the morning and uses his influence to convince other countries to provide him with land, money, and trade deals in exchange for his protection from monsters. All of this is done in payment for his protection. In the meantime, Al acquires disguises, and Reeks, who is revealed to be a gentle demon and a shadow puppet, embarks on a mission to collect genuine monsters to expose Netulus as a hoax. Netulus is enraged when he overhears Falwise crying about the fact that she will never see Al again in Antisberg. It is Al, Helen, and Ruri's intention to sneak into Antisberg to rescue Gazel's lover to set Gazel free. Unfortunately, Al exposes them right away, so Helen and Ruri engage in combat with the troops while Al saves Gazel's girlfriend and brings her to the church in time to disrupt the wedding. Falwise is thrilled to see Al, who reveals the deception that Netulus was involved in. With the return of his beloved, Gazel refuses to manage the monsters, and Netulus is unable to repel them with the fake Levitain. Reeks invades with his army of monsters. In a fit of rage, Netulus admits that he had dispatched yet another army of monsters to Magus. However, Helen and Ruri had foreseen this and had decided for Magus adventurers to assemble a powerful army that was able to vanquish the monsters. As a result of his misdeeds being brought to light, Netulus' troops seize him. As Al is stunned, Falwise announces that she has fallen in love with him. Infuriating Ruri, the king gladly welcomes Al, who is not willing to be his son-in-law, as his future son-in-law. Reeks, in his capacity as a shadow puppet, provides the king with evidence that Netulus's intentions were secretly conceived and executed by another individual. In the course of their heated competition for Al, Falwise and Ruri find themselves trapped in the thick of the conflict. When Al reveals that another woman already owns his heart, they are taken aback by his statement. After that, Al is shown presenting his harvest at a shrine that is dedicated to a person named Ilvia. Ilvia, a young girl, stole crops to make money 15 years ago, but the farmers caught her and sold her to people who bought slaves. In a strange turn of events, Al's folks took her in and paid off all of her debts. After 2 years, Al's parents, Lucica and Jills, chose to move to the city, leaving Al and Ilvia to take care of the farm. As Al worked on the farm, his always curious friend Testa told him that treasure was hidden in the woods and asked him to go on a quest to find it. Ilvia was interested but wary, and she was worried about how dangerous the plan was. She chose to tell Al about her fears. It was during the treasure hunt that Testa told everyone about Lucica and Jill's plan to leave because the farmers were mistreating Ilvia. As they dug deeper, Al found a secret tunnel that went to a deserted city. He set off a trap that caused a volcano to erupt. This caused the sun to be obscured by ash, which destroyed all the crops. Because they were blocked off from the city by a bridge that had fallen, the people were compelled to ration the food that they had left because supplies were unable to reach them. Jills and Lucica were also unable to reach them. Ilvia entertained the idea of stealing once more, but ultimately decided to deliver her food rations to Al in a covert manner because Al had previously protected her. After discovering that Ilvia had made a selfless sacrifice to save his life, Al blamed himself for Ilvia's death, which was ultimately caused by hunger. At the moment, Al is depressed since he cultivates so much food that Ilvia will never be able to consume, but he makes a solemn vow to continue cultivating so that no one ever again goes hungry. In the cute town of Gal, a young woman named Linnea asks a traveler to help her figure out what's wrong with her house. When Helen isn't sure what to do, Al steps in and offers his help in the hopes of solving the mystery surrounding Gal's favorite asparagus crop. While Al is traveling through Gal, he sees people moving around in a strange, trance-like state. Linnea shows Al the anti-hypnosis collar that will break the spell and gives it to him for free. But Remol, the town's lord, tells soldiers to fight Al because the demon Vritra is controlling him. Al is not scared and easily kills them, but then he finds Linnea's surprise defense of Remol, who is holding her parents hostage to protect himself. Linnea reveals Vritra's evil plan, which is that he has hypnotized every soul in Gal with a magical crystal. This gradually shows the truth. Al falls for Linnea's trick, and Vritra grabs him because the demon wants Al's unmatched power more than anything else. Helen and Rory abruptly destroy the crystal, putting an end to the hypnosis that had been taking place. If Linnea was similarly hypnotized, Al confesses that these were his backup resources for emergencies that he had kept a secret from her. By cramming Remol's mouth with Aspara, which Remol is fascinated with, he assists Remol in expelling Vritra from his body, thus leading to Al's victory over Vritra. Linnea gives Al permission to retain the necklace as a remembrance, and then she kisses him and declares that she will marry him when she is old enough, even if he has already married another woman. Fallwise is upset to find Al involved with yet another woman after learning about his link to Linnea. Bushgillers, a bothersome plant weed, have taken over Al's fields, which makes him very angry. Suddenly, the king himself comes to see Al and tells him he needs to marry Fallwise right away. The women's arguments get worse until they get into a fight so bad that Al passes out. Just as Al is falling asleep, he has a brief image of a mysterious woman with wings. Al is determined to get rid of the bushgillers that are taking over his fields, so he buys poison. On the way, he sees a young girl who is about to be taken. According to Reeks, the girl is Yuria, the daughter and heir of the Demon King. She tells a scary story about how her caretaker, Volp, took her away from her father's house because she was in immediate danger. Yuria begs Al to cross the dangerous ocean with her because she needs to get home safely. Al gives his consent and assigns Reeks the responsibility of eliminating the bushgillers. Because to the high cost of ships, Al chooses to transport Yuria across the surface of the ocean. As soon as they are discovered, a Volp who is under the influence of hypnosis strikes Yuria. Lucica, who had followed Al across the seas after learning about Yuria from Reeks, comes up behind Volp and knocks him unconscious in an unexpected manner. Upon arrival at the castle, they see Yuria's father lying unconscious and injured. A surprise attempt is made by Lucica to assassinate Yuria, which reveals that she is Ilvia disguised as Yuria, who is still alive and has reached adulthood. It is revealed by Ilvia that she was resurrected by the evil god, who bestowed upon her an astounding amount of power. It is also revealed by Ilvia that Al has already encountered evil god, and that the lover of nature's skill that he possesses, which is responsible for his incredible strength, was a gift from evil god. Then she insists that Al make a solemn oath of allegiance to her, or else she will kill his family and friends. The passage of time came to a sudden halt, and Al was reunited with the winged woman, who turned out to be good god. She took away the power that evil god had bestowed upon Al and replaced it with her own. Al can save Yuria with his newly acquired strength, and Ilvia teleports away, vowing to meet Al shortly. During the time that Fallwise is leaving the palace, her nefarious maid Albi is acting as her body double. When Al was younger, he was under the impression that the volcano had been unleashed by an evil god. He inquired about this to Testa, but Testa had no recollection of events. Al asks Testa to come with him to the busy city from the quiet hamlet, but she politely refuses, giving no clear reason. In a secret conversation, Testa tells no one that she can't leave. At the same time, Al is struggling with the fact that the evil god took away his lover of nature's skill, leaving him very weak in the fight against a strong orc. In the middle of all the chaos, Reeks shows up with a letter from Lucica, who is involved in a very important probe. Because of Lucica's letters, Al is more determined than ever to find out what the mysterious evil god is up to. To figure out the secrets that are threatening his world, Al decides to keep living two lives, as a farmer and an explorer. Each day brings him one step closer to finding the truth. As fate turns the wheels, Ilvia can't wait for her next meeting with Al, who will be with her the whole way. That is where the story ends. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next recap.